Dear learners, welcome to this lecture series on heat transfer. I am Dr. Karuna Murthy, working as Associate Professor at VIT Chennai. In this very first lecture, we are going to discuss about modes of heat transfer and the laws related to the modes of heat transfer. So, in general, before we start this lecture, why do we have a course on heat transfer? What is the necessity of studying heat transfer? Because in this universe there are two physical entities are there. One is mass, other one is energy. This mass and energy, they used to transfer from one place to the other. If it is the case of mass, then from higher concentration to lower concentration, mass transfer occurs. In the case of heat transfer, it occurs from higher temperature to lower temperature. So this is a natural phenomenon. And throughout this universe, we have various forms of energy like sound, light, magnetism, electricity. These are all various forms of energy. Similarly, heat is also a form of energy which is present in this universe, and this heat transfer is very common phenomenon. So if you are interested in studying about the various natural processes, then heat transfer is also one of the natural process, and we also say that heat transfer is all pervasive. That means it is present everywhere. Who should learn this course? Whoever is interested in understanding the laws of the nature, they can study this course. Apart from this, with reference to the academics point of view, people those who are doing mechanical engineering degree program or chemical engineering, they are mostly using this heat transfer. Coming to the outline, in this lecture 1, we are going to discuss about the difference between thermodynamics and heat transfer, because for learning this heat transfer course, a prerequisite is thermodynamics course. I hope you might have undergone this thermodynamics course and you have come to learning heat transfer course. So when you are going to study about heat transfer course is an extension of course on thermodynamics. So we can say heat transfer is part 2 of thermodynamics course. Then we will be studying about various modes of heat transfer involved. These modes of heat transfers are different phenomena that exist in the nature when during the heat transfer process. Followed by that, we will be discussing about what are the laws which governs these modes of heat transfer. And finally, we are going to discuss about the applications of heat transfer. So from thermodynamics, heat transfer is defined like this. Wherever we have temperature difference, heat transfer occurs, and temperature difference is the reason for the heat transfer. This we have studied in thermodynamics. Coming to the difference between thermodynamics and heat transfer, in thermodynamics we used to study amount of heat transfer. Wherever we have encountered whatever the heat that you have calculated in the case of thermodynamics, we used to calculate using the formula Q equal to mCp dt. So which will give you the amount of heat transfer. But this amount of heat transfer alone is not sufficient for most of the study. So we require another factor called rate of heat transfer, which is very, very important to determine. Just to perform the analysis, we require this rate of heat transfer. Let us say you want to buy a laptop and there are two brands available. Let us say brand X and brand Y are available, and both of them have same configuration, but the amount of heat generated by brand X, laptop of brand X, let us say it is high compared to brand Y. So because of the more amount of heat that is being generated, the temperature of the laptop is going to be higher. As the temperature increases, then the performance of the laptop is going to come down. So we prefer the laptop whose temperature is maintained less, heat dissipation is proper, then temperature is going to be maintained less and the performance is going to be higher. Not only in the case of selection of laptop, there are many engineering applications where we need to calculate the rate of heat transfer. Sometimes we want to reduce the rate of heat transfer, sometimes we want to increase the rate of heat transfer. In due course, you will be studying where do we want to increase the rate of heat transfer and where do we want to decrease the rate of heat transfer. So in the case of heat transfer, we are going to study rate of heat transfer, whereas in thermodynamics we have learned only about amount of heat transfer. And thermodynamics has not dealt with various mechanisms that are involved in heat transfer. In the case of heat transfer course, we are going to study various modes or mechanisms that are involved in the heat transfer. And in thermodynamics, we used to give more preference to the process which are quasi-static in nature. That means we give preference to the systems which are in equilibrium. But this heat transfer process is a natural phenomenon. For this natural phenomenon to occur, we should not have thermal equilibrium. Heat transfer is possible only if there is difference in temperature. When I say that there is difference in temperature, that means the system is not in thermal equilibrium. And in thermodynamics, we used to study heat transfer from high temperature to low temperature as well as from low temperature to high temperature. Whereas in heat transfer course, we are going to study the natural heat transfer process. Natural phenomenon only we are going to study, where the heat transfer takes place from high temperature to low temperature only. Coming to the modes of heat transfer, we have three modes of heat transfer, namely conduction, convection and radiation. Conduction is considered as the first mode of heat transfer, then convection and then radiation. Now let us consider a fire. Assume that this is a campfire and there are wooden logs placed here which is subjected to combustion. Now I am going to heat a metal rod using this campfire. So from here to this is the end which is being subjected to heating, and slowly heat is going to be conducted throughout the mass of the metal rod and it is going to come to the other end. So within the solid object, the heat transfer we call it as conduction, right? And the air that is present near the campfire gets heated up, then its density decreases and it will try to move up. So lighter moves up. From the higher elevation, the air which is at low temperature, whose density is higher, it will try to come down. So this process we call it as convection. And also heat is going to be radiated to the surrounding, whether the medium is present or not. From the combustion process, heat is going to be radiated to the surrounding. So there are three phenomena involved: conduction, convection and radiation. In reality, you will be having all the three coexisting together. Coming to the conduction phenomena, in some of the applications of heat transfer, you will find like conduction will be dominating compared to convection and radiation. Sometimes convection will be dominating, sometimes radiation will be dominating. In such cases, we can analyze individually. Now, for this conduction phenomenon to occur, we require difference in temperature. Whether it is conduction, convection or radiation, the primary necessity for heat transfer to occur is difference in temperature. So for conduction also, we require difference in temperature. Followed by that, we need to have a medium. For conduction to occur, a medium is mandatory. And we will not have bulk motion within the medium. I will tell you what is bulk motion subsequently when we are discussing about convection process. So for conduction to occur, difference in temperature is necessary and a medium is necessary. This conduction, again, there are two possibilities. It can be either by lattice vibration or by free electrons or by combination of these two. Now let us consider a solid object. It can be a metal or a non-metal which is heated from one end. After a certain time period, you can see the temperature increases throughout its mass. Initially, temperature will be higher at this end where the heating is taking place, and slowly heat transfer takes place to the other parts of the solid object. In the case of solid, the atoms are arranged in a particular fashion which we call it as a lattice. So when we heat from one end, these atoms that are present here, they will gain more energy and they will be vibrating. During this vibration process, it will transfer the energy to the next atom, and which in turn transfer the energy to the another atom, and similarly energy is being transferred from one end to the other end. So this occurs in solids. So conduction by lattice vibration occurs in solids, whether it is a metal or a non-metal. Coming to conduction by free electron, this occurs only in metals. Now you consider a metal rod which is being heated from one end. After a certain time period, you will see the rise in temperature. We can feel the rise in temperature at the other end. So here conduction occurs both by lattice vibration and by free electron, and especially in the case of metals, conduction by free electron dominates compared to lattice vibration. Even though the conduction by lattice vibration is also present, this conduction by free electron is going to dominate. Now if you go to the atomic level, here you can see these are the metal ions. So in between the metal ions, free electrons are present. These free electrons are free to move. So upon heating, this free electron, they carry the thermal energy and transfers the thermal energy throughout the mass of the metal. So this lattice vibration is possible in all solids, whether it is metal or non-metal, but this process is slow comparatively. Whereas conduction by free electron, this occurs only in metals and not in non-metals. and this process is comparatively faster. Coming to the law which governs the conduction process, now let us consider a slab. This is a slab, and one surface of the slab is maintained at temperature T1, other surface of the slab is maintained at temperature T2. Here temperature T1 is greater than temperature T2. So there exists a temperature difference. Because of the temperature difference, heat transfer occurs from the higher temperature to the lower temperature. Now, variation of temperature within the slab, that we call it as temperature distribution or temperature profile. So this has a slope. dT by dx is a slope. So higher the slope, higher the temperature gradient, then rate of heat transfer is more. That is what this law which governs the conduction, it states that the rate of conductive heat transfer is directly proportional to the temperature gradient and also the cross-sectional area. Cross-sectional area is the area which is perpendicular to the direction of flow. Let us say heat transfer occurs in this direction. Perpendicular to the direction, the area that is present is called cross-sectional area. So higher the cross-sectional area, rate of heat transfer is more. Higher the temperature gradient, rate of heat transfer is more. So this law was given by Joseph Fourier, and this law we call it as Fourier's law of heat conduction. So Fourier's law of heat conduction is Q is directly proportional to cross-sectional area and temperature gradient. If you want to remove the proportionality, then we have to introduce a constant. Now in this case, constant is K. So this we call it as thermal conductivity. Thermal conductivity is the property of the material. For some materials, you will have thermal conductivity higher value. For some materials, you will have thermal conductivity less value. Especially for metals, thermal conductivity is higher. So from this expression, Q is rate of heat transfer, K is thermal conductivity, AC is cross-sectional area, and dT by dx is the temperature gradient. Here we have introduced a negative sign because this dT by dx is having a negative slope. So in order to make this value Q as positive, we have introduced negative sign. Coming to the second mode of heat transfer, which we call it as convection. For this mode of heat transfer also we require a difference in temperature similar to conduction. Any mode of heat transfer, it requires difference in temperature. Then we need to have a medium. Like conduction also, for convection we need to have a medium. Apart from medium, within the medium we need to have bulk motion. Once all these three conditions are satisfied, then we say that heat transfer by convection occurs. So we need to have difference in temperature and then a medium. Within the medium, bulk motion is necessary. I will tell you what is bulk motion now. Now you consider a vessel which contains liquid. So this is a vessel in which liquid is present, and this vessel is being heated from the bottom with the help of a stove. So when we heat water present in the vessel, the bottom of the water molecule upon heating, it will undergo expansion. When it expands, its volume increases. If the volume increases for any substance upon heating, it will undergo expansion. That means volume is going to increase, but mass is same. Keeping mass same and volume increases, then its density decreases. That means density of the water molecule at the bottom of the vessel is less compared to the density of the water molecule that is present at the top. So here less dense, here higher dense. So if it is less dense, then it is lighter. When I say density is higher here, then it is heavier. So heavier will try to come down, lighter moves up. When the lighter water molecule moves up, it carries the thermal energy. So the thermal energy is being transferred to the top, and heavier comes down, gains heat, it will become its density decreases, then it moves up. So thereby yes, natural circulation is being established. This natural circulation is what we call it as bulk motion. Bulk motion is nothing but movement of molecules within the substance. That movement of molecule is because of density difference. Wherever density difference occurs, higher density because of buoyancy it will come down, lighter moves up. This density difference is because of temperature. So this phenomenon we call it as convection. Law which governs convection is given by Newton's law of cooling. This was given by Newton. So this law is called Newton's law of cooling. This law states that convective rate of heat transfer is directly proportional to surface area that is exposed for convection and temperature difference. So Q is directly proportional to A S delta T. Q is nothing but the rate of heat transfer. If you want to remove the proportionality, then we have to introduce a constant, which is H here. So Q is rate of heat transfer, H is convective heat transfer coefficient, AS is surface area, and delta T is the temperature difference. So this convection again it occurs by two means. One we call it as natural convection, and the other convection is called as forced convection. Natural convection is also called as free convection. So we have discussed like for convection to occur we need to have difference in temperature, a medium, and bulk motion. If the bulk motion is because of density difference, which in turn due to temperature difference, which we have discussed in the heating of water present in a vessel, so that convection we call it as natural convection, because the movement of the water molecule it occurs on its own, it occurs naturally. So this we call it as natural convection. Whereas in the case of forced convection, for making the molecules to move or the medium to move, we will be using some external aid, like we will have a fan or a blower or a pump. So such external aids are used for making the molecules to move. Now you take the case here. So here let us say we have a hot object. This is hot object at higher temperature. So now I want to transfer the heat from here to air, to the surrounding air. I want to transfer the heat. To make the process faster, what we will do? Now we used to have a fan which is going to blow air to the hot object. As the air passes over this, so now the movement of air is because of the rotation of the fan. So this fan provides the movement of air. As the air passes over this, it is going to take away the heat. So heat transfer occurs. So this convection is called forced convection, because the movement of the air molecules are by having an external aid, which is nothing but a fan. Coming to the third or last mode of heat transfer. The last mode of heat transfer is called radiation. So for this mode of heat transfer also we require difference in temperature, and it is not mandatory to have a medium for radiation to occur. So even without medium, that is even in vacuum, you can have radiation. Let us say if you are going to have a medium, then the rate of heat transfer by radiation is going to come down. So if medium is present, for radiation, medium is a hindrance. If there is no medium, assume that we are having only vacuum, then the rate of heat transfer will be faster. Normally we receive energy from sun to the earth by means of radiation. In between the sun and earth, in the space, we don't have any medium. So only vacuum is present there, but still we receive thermal energy from sun to the earth. So this is by means of radiation. So this radiation is governed by a law called Stefan-Boltzmann law. According to this law, the rate of heat transfer by radiation is directly proportional to fourth power of absolute temperature and surface area. So this law says rate of heat transfer is directly proportional to surface area and fourth power of absolute temperature. When I say absolute temperature, that means temperature should be in Kelvin, not in degree C. So if you remove the proportionality, then we have to introduce a constant. This constant is called Stefan-Boltzmann constant, whose value is 5.67 into 10 power minus 8 watt per meter square Kelvin power 4. So this is Stefan-Boltzmann law, and this law was experimentally proved by Stefan and theoretically proved by Boltzmann. So that is why this law is called Stefan-Boltzmann law. Coming to the applications of heat transfer has a lot of applications, right from designing a boiler, condenser, any heat transfer equipment, heat exchanger. In all these cases, heat transfer analysis is involved. And for designing the electronic components, when we have an electronic component and when it is doing a process, it rejects a lot of heat. So that has to be done properly, and if it is not done properly, then the failure of the system occurs. So therefore, for designing the high speed electronic system, we need to have thermal management, which is done by this heat transfer analysis. And for space application also, these days we are having re-entry space vehicles. The re-entry space vehicle, when it enters into the Earth's atmosphere, it will be subjected to a lot of heat. So we used to have some material to prevent the entry of heat into the spacecraft. This space vehicle, when it enters into the Earth, because of the lot of heat generated, we used to cover this space vehicle with a material called ablative material, which melts. Space vehicle enters into the Earth's atmosphere, thereby it protects the entry of heat into the space vehicle. So rocket propulsion system also, while designing the combustion chamber, heat transfer is involved. And let us say for cryogenic science is like storing materials at a temperature less than minus 150 degrees C. We call it as cryogenic materials. These materials, when you are going to maintain at a temperature, very low temperature like minus 150 degrees C, whereas the surrounding temperature is at 30 degrees C. So surrounding temperature is higher, the cryogenic material that is being stored is at a very low temperature. So heat transfer occurs from atmosphere to the material that is being stored, that is cryogenic material. So this has to be prevented. To prevent that, we will be providing insulation. So there also, while providing insulation also, we need to have this heat transfer analysis. Similarly, for IC engine combustion, while designing an incinerator, while designing a combustion chamber, in all these places, heat transfer plays a vital role. And also for HVAC systems like a refrigerator, air conditioning system, we have to do heat transfer analysis. And coming to the modern manufacturing process, like let us say for having a laser cutting process. In the case of laser cutting process, lot of heat is being generated. that has to be dissipated properly. So how to provide a cooling medium or how to provide the rate of cooling medium, all those comes under heat transfer. And designing a thermal equipment, the stress analysis is an important part. Wherever you have a lot of temperature difference, then thermal stresses will be developed, and to avoid the development of thermal stresses, heat dissipation needs to be done properly. So for carrying out that, this heat transfer analysis is mandatory, or a knowledge in the heat transfer course is mandatory. Throughout this lecture series, these are the notations which we are going to follow. Q refers to amount of heat transfer and its unit is joule. If I write Q dot, it refers to rate of heat transfer. It is joule per second or watt, and rate of heat transfer per unit area, which we call it as heat flux. Watt per meter square is rate of heat transfer per unit area, which is given as Q double prime. Wherever you will find Q triple prime, it refers to heat generation per unit watt. These are some of the references. I am going to refer the following textbooks, and our next lecture is steady state conduction with and without internal heat generation, and we are going to discuss about heat conduction equations.